You ever forget to talk about something else in your video, but then again, you don't want to make it long, and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna talk about this because I completely forgot to talk about this. Yeah, that's what just happened to me. So I realized that the aspects are very, very important, and actually, it's something that recently I've been looking and reading into more, and it's it reveals so much. It really reveals so much because these aspects, what they do is they're basically the planets are interacting with each other, and based on the degree the far apart two planets are to each other from a graphical point of view, a mathematical, this is where geometry actually comes into play. Like math and what they've taught us in school is obviously like not gonna help us as much as actual sacred geometry will help us. If you really think about it, like it's not real math that they teach you in school because it's all a system, right? They don't want you to know the actual true knowledge to self, and that's why the people in like usually in school, you if you were in a math class, some people really sucked at it because they didn't understand because it's not really real math, like real geometry. Just it's crazy to think back on when I was a student. I thought that that was like the most important thing that I needed to learn. Being a kid, you're so like pure, and you just intake everything that's around you and what your parents give to you. And so this is you guys know this is, what time it is. You guys know what time it is. I don't even really have to. In all of this plays and synchronizes with astrology. It connects to astrology because astrology represents you. It's a blueprint of you. So, and I'm also gonna do another video. I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna make another video after this one showing you guys exactly what it is your chart looks like, basically type shit. Like I need to print it out. Actually, I should print like a big paper of my chart out and like explain it. Or if anybody also if anybody wants me to use their chart as an example, let me know, please. Thank you. I feel like these glasses, like the light is interfering. I'm just gonna take them off. Going back to the planets, right, and their interaction. When your nails done, you'd be like, so the aspects that the planets are making with them. They're playing Call of Duty and you can hear it. So I'm gonna have to like raise my voice a little bit more. It's better though because I get to work on my projection of my voice. So it's a win-win. Anyways, going back to the aspects. So what's going on is the planets are constantly moving, right? Constantly moving in a counterclockwise way. If you take the Earth, right? I wish I had like a whole little solar system. I should get that. Oh, I want that. I want that. If you look at all the planets moving, right? And if you go check out my what is astrology video, you get to see exactly what it looks like. If you use this website, which I mentioned in that video as well, this website called The Planets Today, you literally, all you have to do is put on Google The Planets Today and then click the first link that pops up, and then there it will show you a literal satellite imagery on what the planet, where the planets are right now. And then they also have for you to watch a video of all the planets in one whole year. So they have like 2018, and they just go through what all the planets literally move. They just all move like. So it just shows you an actual visual where you can see that. So I show that in my video of what is astrology. So go ahead and check that out. So from the Earth's point of view, if you put a graph on it, right, into 12 pies. So it's we're putting it according to a circle, right? And we're dividing that into 12 pieces. And we're looking at the Earth from that graph. And we look at the whole solar system while the graph is still right there on the Earth. That's why it's important that you know the time, the day, and the location of your birth. That way, those coordinate to a specific spot where you are right when you were born. And basically, boom, it's a screenshot of where. It's like if they freeze time up. It's a screenshot of where each planet is, where everything is, where the sun was, where everything is. If you were born right in January, let's say January 4th, like my dad, you're a Capricorn. That means that the sun was in the sign of Capricorn at the time of your birth, because the sun goes through every sign in 30 to 31 days, which is a whole month. So that depends on that. But the moon really depends on the time you were born, as well as your rising sign, which is where the sun was rising at the time of your birth. What sign the sun was rising in, what sign the moon was in, because the moon moves every 2 days. Every 2.5 days, the moon moves into another sign. It takes Mercury a whole month to get through all the signs. So, as you can tell, there's different things going on, right? There's different things going on. And depending on what planet was in which sign in your chart, that's where you can tell what your true nature is. It's your nature. It's you. Back to the aspects, though. Now, in aspects where we're calculating the distance between each planet, and according to that, using symbolism as a form of symbolism and geometry and sacred geometry as a form to decode its meaning, its true meaning, to decode that specific energy of this aspect. Because what's going on is when two planets are aspecting each other, there's an energy that's basically combining. So what's going on, like for example, I'm going to tell you the basic aspects that there are to astrology when looking at a chart. So we have an opposition, which means when, let's say, the sun was in Leo. Let's say you were born on August 17th. You're a Leo. The sun was in Leo. Now, what is Leo's opposite sign? If you study all of the signs, and you know them from 1 to 12 in order, you know that Leo's opposite sign is Aquarius. Right? So let's say the sun was in Leo and the moon was in Aquarius. Right? That's an opposition. That's an aspect. That just means that the sun was directly opposite to where the moon was at the exact time that you were born. They were literally in the opposite of each other. So this creates static, right? They also say though, opposites attract for a reason. You have to learn to deal with those two different energies. If your sun is in Leo and your moon is in Aquarius, that means literally, and according to the degrees they were in, because you can have your sun in Leo, and your moon in Aquarius, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're directly opposing each other, because there are 30 degrees in every single pie on the circle. Remember the 12 line diagram that I told you to draw in your head and coordinate that to the Earth's graph for you to then calculate the planets and pinpoint where each one was accurately. This is what we're using when we're trying to decode our graph and understand what's going on in our natal chart. We're just literally looking at a graph, and the Earth is directly where the middle point is. And the whole graph is just what was going on in the solar system at the time of your birth. If you look at the graph from that point, you realize that each pie from the 12 pies that you drew on the diagram has 30 degrees on it, right? Because a whole circle is how many degrees? 360, right? We know the basic. We know that a circle is 360 degrees. Now, if you divide the circle by 12, what do you get? The 12 signs, right? 30 degrees. 30 times 12 is 360. Now you have that graph in your head with the 30 degrees each on the diagram. A planet will travel from those 30 degrees, right? According to what we call time. And while time keeps going, the planet keeps traveling counterclockwise. Counterclockwise, right? Everything on the actual graph's point of view, the planets go counterclockwise, not clockwise. Not clockwise. So we're actually going back instead of forward. That's why. Planet moves according to how fast it moves as well, taking that into account. Like I said, all the planets move in different timings throughout around the Earth. Taking that into consideration, you realize that it can be in the beginning, in the middle, or in the end. There's 30 whole degrees in one little sign pie, meaning that that's 10 degrees 3 times. 10 degrees 3 times. That planet could have been in the first 10 degrees. Let's say the sun was in, like I said, Leo, right? Let's say sun was in Leo in the first degree. If the sun was in the first degree of Leo and the moon was in the 30th degree of Aquarius, they wouldn't technically be opposing at all. At all. They have to be directly opposing each other, or at least 10 degrees from directly opposing each other for that energy to summon, you could say. So, but when it is directly opposing, that now means that there is literally an exchange of energy is going on. Like there's an interaction between those two planets. And that interaction is now a part of an aspect of your life, of your specific life, that depending on which planets are opposing is gonna manifest in your reality. So, for example, like I said, the sun in Leo, the moon in Aquarius. Now, let's say they're actually directly opposing each other. The sun is our action, right? It's how it's basically our ego. They associate it with your ego most of the time, but of course, ego can go out of control. So, the sun is your expression. The sun is your light, right? It's your action. It's you. It's the sun. It's how you show what you show to people, right? Like, not to people, but what you is your first instinct. The sun is your first instinct, right? If you really think about the sun and its whole existence and meaning, it's literally a symbolism of that light body of yours, right? Specifically depending on which sign it is when you're born. So in this case that I'm giving the example for, the sun is in Leo, right? So this makes somebody who's, very expressive of their own self. And the moon is your emotional body, right? It's how you react. Your sun is how you act. Your moon is how you react. So now, in general terms, your actions and your expressions are now opposing your emotions. Now you have an opposition with that. That's manifesting into your. That's just how you felt. You've maybe come across situations where people tell you or you seem like you don't know what you really want. Maybe you don't know if you want to act a certain way, or you don't know if you want to act another way. You don't like. There's a direct opposition there. You feel me? So it goes more into depth than what you think, and that's why literally all you have to do is search up if your sun and moon were opposing. You can literally, and it shows you too on the bottom graph of the graph. If you go to astro.com and go to extended charts, scroll down all to the bottom, go to extended charts, and then put your information in, select, and then put show chart. It will show you the chart. It will show you a diagram, and it will show you a chart under it showing you all of your aspects according to each planet. So it shows you all the planets. It shows you, so you could literally do it easily. It shows you if one planet was doing something else with the other planet. So we have oppositions, which I just went into a whole lesson about. Squares. So that's if two planets are 90 degrees away from each other, and this just means that these two planets aren't getting along. Like there's a complication going on with those two planets. Some depending which planets they are. This means that they are 120 degrees away from each other. Trines are normally good. They are gifts. Now, sextiles are also good too. Sextile happens when two planets are 60 degrees away from each other. And this creates opportunities. So as you can tell, there's different aspects, right? Those are the major ones. There are also smaller ones, but it's not hard at all to learn. You can literally read it into it and become more familiar, and that way interpret your own chart and go into that. Okay, now we're going to look into the aspects that are going on right now with Mercury and Venus. And that's going to be actually for my next video. I'm going to talk about that right after this, but put it as a different video. So, this is the end of this video because I don't want to make it any longer. And thank you guys for staying tuned to the rest of the video, for watching, for liking, for commenting, for subscribing, and I will see you guys literally in a few. So there's another video coming up right after this one. Alright guys, I'll see you.